there ever since.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I'm just curious. You spoke about Elaine, and she does represent a lot of black artists. What special challenge do you think that she faces doing that? Or you think it's no challenges at all? I'll probably be asking her the same question.
Well, I think, look, selling just black art is challenging as it is. You know, we've kind of been, you know, pigeonholed in the sense that we're black art instead of just art, instead of just, you know, great painters where, you know, oh, you do that. And so that's challenging. You know, I think quite easily she could have chosen to sell other work and been a lot more successful, at least financially, in my opinion. And then there is that awkwardness of being a white woman in black spaces selling black art. That's the second thing. And then the third thing, where she's chosen to settle in Hagerstown, is not necessarily your metropolitan liberal area.
Right.
So juggling those challenges, I think, has been challenging for her. But I appreciate her tenacity about that. And it requires a certain patience and tact. And look, the truth is, when it comes to art and running a gallery, at least from my side of the table as an artist, you got to treat your artists well, and you got to curate your space well. And those two things I saw right away, at least from the curated space. And then once I started working with her, I got around to meeting the different artists, and nobody had a bad word to say. So, you know, it's been like that.
No, she's
over
crazy.
the years.
She's crazy.
Yeah. I'll let you say that.
But it's not a bad thing. You know, you think about making that choice.
Yeah,
It's like you could make other choices.
Yeah.
But no, you're right.
So,
in general, there's all good things to say about her.
Yeah.
So, you know, question. I'm gonna flip it on you a little bit.
All right.
Okay. Are you an artist who is black, or are you a black who is an artist?
I think I would answer very different than a lot of people, because I hate the category of black art. What is black art?
I hate it.
What is black art? And I have made a conscious decision to represent us as black people and do art that is black. But I am an artist, and I'm an artist first. But I've made a conscious decision to celebrate and acknowledge blackness. So I am an artist who's black, but I am a black artist. So there's no one way to answer that. Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Do you, and this is to both of you, do you feel like your art always has to tell a story?
No. My art doesn't always tell a story. Sometimes my art is just my curiosity. I want to try to draw that. Or something draws my eye and I'm just curious. So my art doesn't always tell a story. Sometimes, yeah, a lot of times it does. Sometimes it doesn't. I was mentioning yesterday that sometimes just sort of cleanse my palette, I just do stuff because I enjoy doing it, like life drawing. I just enjoy, I've always been trained and I've always done a ton of life drawing, and so I just enjoy doing that, and so, yeah.
I think like for me, whether I acknowledge it or not, it always tells a story. Even when I have a piece over here that's a landscape, and there wasn't a conscious decision to tell a story, but there's always a story attached to it. And because I'm black, there's always a black story that's attached to it. And like it might be in the case of like the piece that's over here, Orange Glow, which is a landscape. There's a park behind my house, and I'm hiking and walking with my daughter, and it was something about the beauty of it and texture of it and the palette of it. But it was also a black man hiking with his daughter.
Right.
And I started thinking about that. Like, everybody we've encountered is white.
Right.
But it was my experience, and it was all of that. So whether I want it to or not, it's going to tell a story. And a lot of times, like the last series that I just did, I didn't even know what the story was until one day I realized this is the very first series of works that is the most personal that I've ever done, because I've always tried to create a distance between me and my art. You know, like I always painted people that look like me or look like my relatives, but then I'm painting me for the first time and my real relatives. And I'm like, why was I doing it? Because I wanted to keep that barrier because I'm private and I don't want people to know too much. And that's my personality. But yeah, when I look at these beautiful black people and claiming these beautiful black people, but also at times eventually claiming that I am beautiful. You know, what's wrong with me? And this is literally, this happened this week. Like there's a friend of mine that keeps saying, you're beautiful. And I'm so uncomfortable with that. And I'm like, why can't I embrace that? Because I can turn to her and say, you are really beautiful. And and she's feeling awkward. And I'm like, embrace that. And like, why can I tell her, or how can I tell her to embrace that and I can't embrace it? You know, so it became the first time I'm like, this is gonna be really personal. And I think part of the personal is that I am private, I'm shy, believe it or not, and I'm an introvert. And
Me too, yeah.
trying to navigate that and not feel embarrassed by it is hard, but it's kind of something that I'm finally saying, I'm gonna embrace this because I love who I am. And so, but it's always gonna be personal. Just like when we talk about art, there's a category. There's art, and then there's black art.
Yeah.
Nothing else almost exists. Everything else is art, and there's black art.
We're
but then
our
I'm like, you know
separate
what?
own little,
But I look at black art, and I'm like, you know what? There's a soul, and there's a spirit to black art that doesn't seem to exist anywhere else. And we were talking earlier about music. And there are musicians that learn like jazz, and they study jazz, and they know everything about jazz. And when they play it, it's almost classical because it's so ordered.
Regimented.
But jazz, regimented. Jazz isn't order. It is a flow to it. There's a natural.
Yeah, it's a
there's
feeling, texture to it. Yeah.
And when you hear the difference, and then I'm gonna say one more thing, and then I'll say, Fantasia on what's that? Was it
American Idol?
American Idol.
Yeah.
There was I never watched it, and I watched the second to last show before the end when Fantasia won. Her and this white girl sung this song, and the white girl I think wrote the song, and the white girl did a really nice job with this song. But when Fantasia sung that song, she sang that song. And it's like, oh, damn, that's soul. And if you ever get a chance, Google Sam Cooke explaining soul music. And he does it in a hum. And when he hums music and he hums soul music, you feel it here. You feel it here. Everything else, you hear it, but you feel it. And I think that's what black artists bring to art.
And also what I would say is, when I say there's no story, it's really not true. I mean, there are times where I don't create a story. Once you put pencil to paper, that's you. You know what I mean? That's you. So even when I'm doing a still life, there's me going into that. And then I always find it interesting whenever I do a piece and I think, it's a still life. The viewer and the person that buys the work, they will tell me what the story is.
Yeah.
So I may say, and
like you said that about you like doing news. When we're formally trained, we do a lot of nudes and still lives and all this kind of stuff, right?
We do.
And I learned that a long time ago when it came to I just wanted to do a nude because doing a figurative work can be quite a challenge. An instructor always said, if you can draw the form right, the figure, you can do anything, right? And so a lot of times people want to know the story behind something. And I had created a piece, and we're talking 20 years ago, and someone says, tell me about this piece. And I was about to, but I could see that she was moved by it. And so I'm like, why don't you tell me about this piece? And she said, this is the liberation of black women and
you
her
said,
strength and it's her power. And she's taking charge. And I'm thinking,
go ahead.
I just wanted to do a nude.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
I will not tell my story
that's
ever
exactly
again
what I'm talking
because
about.
there's so much more for the person that connects to it.
Exactly. So I may not think, but once you put yourself out there, there's something too about art that we have to learn how to be vulnerable and be okay with being vulnerable. There's something I know I have benefited in terms of my character being an artist, because I've had to, put it up there and then watch whoever respond to it. And I have to take that, whatever.
Let me again, I'm sorry. To add to that, if you understand again that you're merely a vessel,
Exactly.
you can detach yourself from it.
Yes.
And detach yourself in a way where you have to understand that you can
It's gone.
no longer you can not attach yourself to the greatness of it, nor whether it
What
has
people say.
failed.
It's gone.
So if someone says, I hate that painting, it's like, okay, you're right to that. But if they say, that's the most amazing painting I've ever seen, it's the same reaction.
You're still here.
Because you can't say, I'll take it when you compliment it.
Yeah.
But when you don't like it, I ain't got nothing to do with it.
But
it doesn't work that way.
But it's very,
It doesn't work.
but it's very, I always find it, I'm certainly much better at it now, but there's still that vulnerability of hanging yourself.
And being judged.
Yeah, and being judged and saying to yourself, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it, and I'm gonna sit in that space and hey, there's something to learn from this experience.
Yeah.
And there's something to learn from people who are sharing that experience with you. Yeah.
Okay, here's another situation. You're speaking about how people interpret your art. I don't know if you've ever been faced with this, but how would you handle your art being purchased by someone who truly does not appreciate it?
Have you had it? I've had that experience.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No. Look, here's how I look at it. You don't know what child, person is going to see that art in that person's home, and it's going to touch their lives. Even if they're buying it, I know this piece is going to be worth so much more 10 years down the road. You don't know, right? That person may be saying, yes, I'm going to buy it for strictly monetary reasons. You don't know where that art is going to end up. I learned very early in my career that your art goes before you do and goes to places you will never go. And so you don't know who is going to be, because I look at my own life, how I was shifted and changed by art that I saw. I know the artist never intended for me to see it, but it touched me and moved me. So I never really concerned myself about trying to stop people from getting my work or all that censor and all that type of stuff. I don't worry about that. Yeah.
So I'm just curious, if you had to pick one last thing to create as an artist, what would be the piece that you would like to be in the middle of finishing when you leave?
That's an interesting question.
So I'm just saying,
You know what? My first thought is something, oh wow. And the more I think about it, the more it would definitely be. It would be a portrait of my mother. Because my mother always said, like, Charlie, when you gonna paint me? when you go, I'm like, Mama,
Yeah.
you're in everything that I do.
Yeah.
But it's like, when am I gonna? And I'm like, you know what? That would be a
It's very
great farewell.
interesting. Yeah.
Like I'm painting my mama, and I'm painting her in a way, like Van Gogh went crazy trying to create what was in his mind, you know, like, and never achieving it, but struggling the rest of his life. And I'm gonna go a little bit off of a tangent. At 16, I fell in love with a song by Don McLean called "Starry, Starry Night." 3 weeks ago, I'm listening to this song,
Yeah. You told me
and it's
about
the
this.
first time I realized this song's about a starry night by
Yeah.
Van Gogh.
Yeah,
The whole
yeah,
song is
yeah,
about Van
yeah,
Gogh.
yeah.
How did I miss that? You know what I mean? But I'm thinking about this dude who worked his whole life trying to achieve something that he saw, and he wanted the world to see it. And as long as he lived, no one saw it. People afterwards said, "Oh my God, look at this man! Look what he's done." You know, so I would love to go trying to create the magic of the strength, the beauty, the power that that woman had, my mother. And so when it was even nearly done, they would look at it and say, "That's Irma." And Irma
Your mother's
must have
name
been
is Irma?
Yes.
That's my mom's name.
No way, man.
Irma Yvonne Gibson.
How do, not with an I.
No,
With an
Irma.
I-R-M-A.
IRMA.
Oh my God.
Yeah, bro.
Really?
Yeah, fam.
Really?
My mom's name, Irma Yvonne Gibson.
Look, I have a company, production company called Omri, and Omri is my mom's name.
Yeah,
backwards.
yeah.
You know,
yeah,
and, and then like when my son, my youngest
I didn't know
brother
that
had
about
his
you.
first child,
Get out of here.
who his middle name is Omri.
Oh, yeah?
And he said, "Why Omri?" I said, "That's mama's name backwards." He said, "Oh man, it's gonna be
That's
Omri."
great. Yeah. Yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay, you go ahead and answer you now.
Yeah. Here's
That's
what it's gonna
crazy.
be.
That's
Yeah, it's
crazy.
crazy. I did my parents when I was in college, art school, and I look at it now and I'm like, I don't like it. It's terrible. And you know how parents are, they're so proud. Every time I walk down the hall, I see that horrible painting. But interestingly enough, for me, I don't know why this is, but it would be my wife and children. But what I don't know why it is because I can never do it. I just get so emotional. I started one that I had wanted to do for my wife when we first got married, and I could never do it. I just get so emotional that I can't do it. And you know, people are always saying, "Oh, when are you gonna do it?" And I try. I'll just get so overwhelmed that I can't do it. So it would be that. It would be my wife and children together. That would be, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was not the answer I was expecting. I mean, you took me, got me almost emotional.
Yeah, because I could never do it. So I would want that, you know, that last 3 days of my life, to God to give me that extra, you know, power right before, you know, that would be great.